Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Julie Cunningham, and I have the awesome pleasure of serving as a Comto President and Chief Executive Officer. Thank you for being here this morning with us. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our day's guests. Mr. Warren Montague, Ms. Ann Canby, Commissioner Rosemarie Andolino, Ms. Therese McMillan, Ms. Gloria Jeff, Ms. Gina Adams, Commissioner Joan McDonald, Ms. Daryl McKissick, Ms. Cheryl McKissick Daniel, Ms. Helen Dale, Ms. Shirley DeLibero, Mr. John Lewis, Ms. Doris McMillan, Ms. Greer Gillis, the Honorable Norman Mineta, the Honorable Tammy Duckworth, the Honorable Corinne Brown, who's not here yet, I don't think, the Honorable John Picari, Mr. Robert Prince, Reverend Matthew Watley, and Mr. Lester Woods, Jr. Please give them a round of applause. You can all take your seats. Are they not a good-looking bunch at this time of the morning? Give them another round of applause. Okay, of course my pages are out of order already. For those of you who don't know Comto, I think most everybody knows Comto, but for those of you who do not, we are a 501c3 trade organization. Our mission is to ensure a level playing field in the transportation industry for people of color, for small businesses, and for women. And so that is what we do every day. And our founder, Reverend Jerry Moore, who's about 94 years old, would sum it up like this. He would say, baby, it's about jobs and contracts. So he's not with us this morning. I would like to introduce you to the Comto National Board of Directors. I'd say that I have the best leadership, and those of you that run 501cs know that you can have good board members and you can have board members. Okay, Michael Malanafi and Marcia Ferranto, don't make any faces. Don't show your cards on your face. I'm just kidding. But I say I have the best leadership bar none, and I'm on my 4th board after having been with Comto for about 12 years, almost 12 years, and I have had phenomenal leadership. So let me introduce to you, if they would just stand when I call their names, our National Chair, Robert Prince, our First Vice Chair, Warren Montague, Second Vice President, Lester Woods. Our Secretary Treasurer, Frank Martin, is not here today. Board members at large, Marianne Collier, Freddie Fuller, John Lewis, Deani Mendoza. And then we have folks that represent our chapter presidents, our 39 chapter presidents, and they serve on the board. Renee Edwards, Emil Williams, and Joseph Irves. Our board advisors are Deborah Carter, Shirley DeLibero, and Brad Mims. And then every association worth its salt should have their own colonel, and we have one. We call him our strategic advisor, Colonel Jim Page. Please give my leadership a round of applause. And just real quick, we have chapter presidents and committee chairs from around the country that are here. Would you please stand up wherever you are and be recognized? Chapter presidents and our committee chairs. So now, again, most of you know that this is the 2nd annual Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation award ceremony. During Women's History Month, we take the opportunity to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of women in the industry. And this year we have 10 extraordinary honorees. I want to thank my speech is all about introductions this morning, so you guys bear with me and we'll get breakfast soon. But I'd like to thank the Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation committee, the people that have been working over the last 8 months with all kinds of tasks, but their primary responsibility was scanning the industry in selecting the honorees, and that is no small task. And I refuse to be on the phone calls during those because You know, that is, I mean, people are throwing names at us, and their responsibility per the board of directors is to scan the industry. So I want to ask those people to stand. Greer Johnson Gillis, who is our chair, who works for Parsons Brinkerhoff, Lynn Bailey, who's not here, who works for SEPTA, Deborah Carter, who works for the state of Maryland, Christian Kent, who works for WMATA, Brad Mims, the Ravens Group, Shauna Watley, Holland and Knight, and Stephanie Pinson, who's not here, who works for Gilbert and Tweed. These are the people that made this happen. Give them a round of applause. So now, most of us had a little time to network. Is this not an amazing gathering? Let me tell you, the who's who of the industry is in this room. So I looked at the registration list a couple nights ago, and all of our partners are here. American Public Transportation Association, Michael Malanafi, and his chair, Flora Castillo. Stand up, let us see you. Yeah. Flora is the first Latino to chair APTA. Is that correct? So that's all about the Comto mission. And Flora and Pam Boswell were both featured in the last edition of the Comto newsletter. I have copies, hard copies for both of you in my briefcase, so don't leave before I give them to you. The American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials, AASHTO. Where are you guys? Where's AASHTO? Oh, there's Janet. Is Bud with you? Okay, well, AASHTO family's here. Stand up, Janet, let's see you. The Airport Minority Advisory Council, Shelby Scales, Daryl Daniels, where are you guys? Where's Daryl? Oh, Ray over there, okay. The American Association of Airport Executives, Melissa Sabentine, in the AAA, yeah. This one I'm really excited about. I just got to meet with this lady, the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. Diane Babinon, where are you? Where is she? Is she here? Where's the machinist? Where's the machinist? Oh, okay, there they are. Okay. Now it gets even better. The Minetta Transportation Institute. Is Rod Dearden here? Okay, I know that they have supported the event. The Eno Foundation, Joshua Shank, where are you? Joshua, yep. And then we have some of our member agencies, the Links from Orlando, Denver RTD. Where's Phil Washington? Phil's not here. MARTA, we have MARTA folks here. Philadelphia International Airport, Mark Gale, are you here? Where's Mark? Stand up, Mark. Mark was our Executive of the Year, the Comto Executive of the Year, yes. SEPTA, Joe Casey, where are you? Joe Casey, I know the SEPTA family's here. And every modal administration from the state of Maryland is here. Marylanders, you showed DC up today. I'm sorry, stand up. Stand up, Maryland. Look at that, look at that. I said my Maryland chapter bought half the tables. Thank God for that. And then, I'm almost done, you all. Just a couple more. All of our DOT friends and partners. Now, again, the who's who. Polly Trottenberg, Assistant Secretary for Transportation Policy. Where's Polly? I saw her earlier. Stand up, Polly. You guys have to appreciate, I don't know who's minding the store because we're all here. David Strickland, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Yes. Brandon Neal, Director, Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business. Yes. I think Dorval Carter is here, General Counsel for the FTA. Is Dorval here? Okay, he didn't make it. Somebody's minding the store. Deputy Secretary, somebody's back home doing the work. And then this is my last list of intros. Two of our awardees are here from last year. The Honorable Beverly Swain Staley. Where are you, Beverly? Yes. These are alum. And Rhina Cutler, is she here? Yes. And then we have Colonel Henderson Baker, who is the Director of Personnel Policy for the Office of the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Where are you, sir? Yes. Dr. George Holmes, Reverend Dr. George Holmes. Is he here? President Barack Obama National Clergy Leadership Group and Chaplain. Reverend Holmes, are you here? He's not here yet. Miss Gina McCarthy, can I say this? Miss Gina McCarthy, who's been nominated by President Obama to head the EPA. Where is Miss Gina McCarthy? Not here, okay. Lee Lewis, Women of Wealth magazine, the lady who brought you those wonderful magazines on your chair. Founder and editor of Women of Wealth. This gentleman has become such a mentor and friend to me. Mr. Robert Woodson, he's founder and president of the Center for Neighborhood Enterprise and has spent his life working on neighborhood issues. And then last but not least, I know he's in the hotel, I don't know where he is, but the amazing Dr. DeForest Soares, who's going to be speaking later today, senior pastor of First Baptist Church. Of Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, New Jersey. Okay. One other thing I have to say, Comto introduced a new industry partners program this year, and AECOM was the first one to sign up, which means that they have expressed in more than word and deed, they have, to partner with us on every event we have in 2013. So the AECOM family, would you please stand up? Joe, there's Joe and Jerry Primo. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Joe Pulicare and Jerry Primo leading that team. So I want to thank this very impressive dais, and Secretary Mineta, thank you for loaning your name and your legacy as our honorary chair. We really appreciate it. Deputy Secretary Prakari, I know you got a lot on your plate right now. Your people were telling me I wouldn't want to be you right now. But thank you for taking the time to be here with us this morning. Let me end with this. Most of you are probably familiar with the proverb that states, "A virtuous woman who can find? Her worth is far above rubies." I like red. I don't know if you guys, can you tell? Comto is all about red. Let me say that again. A virtuous woman who can find, her worth is far beyond rubies. Every now and then I'll take a word and I'll do I'll dissect it, a biblical word study, and try to see what did it mean in the original Greek or Hebrew. And so the other day when I was thinking about what I wanted to say about this group of honorees, I thought about, a virtuous woman. And then I thought, I have to tell you that my interpretation of virtuous was a little bit off, because the original Greek defines it as strong, wealth, women of wealth, valor, strength, substance. It further says to be strong. Congresswoman Duckworth, Army strong. And then, I said, okay, so how do you partner this, all of this strength and valor and Army strong with ruby? Well, ruby on the scale of on the Mohs scales, which is how you rate the value of a precious gem, is called a corundum, and on the scale, it's rated a 9, second only to diamonds. So now listen to this. Elizabeth Taylor's complete jewelry collection was auctioned by Christie's. She had a 8.24 gem, a ruby, that broke the price for per carat. It was $512,000 per carat, which was over $4.2 million in total. And ladies, for those of you who want to take a peek, the largest and finest ruby gem is here in DC at the National Museum of Natural History, 23 karat Burmese ruby, set in platinum ring with diamonds, was donated by a businessman and philanthropist in memory of his wife. So a virtuous woman who can find. If you just take those two things together, I would say that we did find 10 very virtuous women. Congratulations to you all. Thank you all. Let me introduce our mistress of ceremony. She's going to take it here and catch up the time that I've lost. Ms. Doris McMillan is no stranger to Comto or to APTA. She's worked with both of our organizations. She is a communications professional extraordinaire. She is a member of Comto, Maryland. Our mistress of ceremonies for this morning, Ms. Doris McMillan.
Good morning, everyone. It is so good to see all of you here again. For those of you who were here last year, welcome back. And for those of you who are new to the Comto Women Who Move the Nation, welcome again this morning. We're going to get our program started with a very talented young man. He is going to sing the national anthem. His name is Dwight D.C. Washington. Get it? Okay. He's a singer, a conductor, a worship leader. He is the graduate of the University of Central Arkansas and Mississippi College. He spent 22 years in the United States military. Thank you so much. He's a member also of the nationally known Cathedral Choral Society in Washington, D.C., and frequently sings the national anthem for the Washington Redskins, the Washington Nationals, and the D.C. United. So please stand for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. If we didn't have to give out the awards, we could go home on that. Thank you. If any of you wonder where your voice went, he got it. And now I'd like to ask Mr. Lester Woods to deliver our invocation. Mr. Woods is the External Civil Rights Director for the Missouri Department of Transportation. In addition to his day-to-day duties, Lester is the lead administrator of the Missouri Unified Certification Program, which includes St. Louis, Lambert Airport, Metro, the City of Kansas City, and the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority. He has a Master's of Public Administration from the University of Missouri, Columbia, and he currently serves on the Comto National Board of Directors. Mr. Lester Woods.
Thank you. I think we could say amen right after we finish singing, right? Please join me with the word of prayer. O most holy Father, our God, our Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Alpha and the Omega, beginning and the end, God who turned chaos into cosmos, separated darkness from light, created life in his image, we come before you on this great morning with bowed down heads and humbled hearts, thanking you for this great and mighty day of celebration. We thank you, Father, for traveling grace and mercy for those of us who travel far and near over the highways, byways, and airways to attend this auspicious occasion today. For your word says that we should give honor to where honor is due. Therefore, we come before you this morning to honor and to thank you for the accomplishments and successes of these great women whose lives have been set apart and dedicated to serve people, which has allowed them to move the nation. their daughters, sisters, wives, mothers, professionals, providers, and survivors. They have overcome obstacles seen and unseen. They have assailed, propelled beyond the status quo to supernatural success. Therefore, it is evident that you've worked all things together for their good. Through these women, we can learn that without you, nothing is possible, but with you, all things are possible. Therefore, we invoke your presence into this place and pray multiple blessings upon the leadership members of the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, its sponsors, partners, constituents, who are all here to celebrate and to just say thank you. Thank you, Father. May you continue to give them exceeding abundantly above all that they ask and think, according to the power that is working in them. And we believe that still the best is yet to come for them. So finally, we thank you, Father, for the partaking of this bread, meat, and drink in which we're preparing to eat, which will strengthen our limbs, nourish our bodies. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Breakfast is served. Well, Bob Prince, the president of Comto National, is also vice president at ACOM and former general manager with the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, with over 36 years in transportation. He is the author of Every Man, Footprints in the Snow. I've got my copy in my purse, and I told him I will stalk him to make sure he signs it before he leaves. So please let me introduce Robert Prince.
Good morning, Comto. Good morning. Listen, as Lester would say, the best is yet to come. But it gives me great pleasure this morning to introduce you to the Deputy Secretary, John Polcari. Mr. Polcari serves as the Department of Transportation's Chief Operating Officer with the responsibility of the day-to-day operations and responsibilities of 10 modal administrators with over 55,000 DOT employees. I will tell you that I was telling John earlier this morning that this is my second time being able to introduce him at an event. He has been a Comto supporter and a friend and a family member. We just love the fact that he's been Maryland Secretary twice, and you can see by the Maryland turnout what a great guy he is and how supportive he has been of Comto. So without further ado, I'm not going to read his resume because it's in your programs. I think that it's important that you know that he is a friend, he is a supporter, and I will bring you John Polcari.
Thank you, Robert, and good morning, everyone. And this really is Comto at its finest. If you look around the room, we have the whole nation represented. And yes, we have a strong Maryland contingent. Yes, we have a strong US DOT contingent, but it's the whole nation. I did want to give a special shout out to Helen Dale. And you all know Helen. And if you know her, you know that she's literally mentored generations of transportation professionals. And that's really what this organization's all about. So thank you all for everything that you do. As I'm sure you all know, March is Women's History Month. And there's no better time to celebrate the 10 women being honored here today for their contributions to the transportation industry than Women's History Month. I'm delighted that DOT's own Therese McMillan is among our honorees. And I can certainly tell you firsthand about the terrific work that Therese is doing at the Federal Transit Administration. I'd also like to congratulate Congresswoman Duckworth on her selection as this year's Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Congresswoman, it's an honor to have you on the dais as well. Helen Dale is also being honored. So you have a really star-studded cast here today. And I will tell you that in both my present role and in past ones, it's been enormously satisfying to work with Comto and see what we do best. All of us were mentored by someone. All of us were helped along the way by someone. We, in turn, have the obligation to do it for others. And that's really what Comto's about. And so it's yes, it's about a strong transportation system and a strong transportation industry. It's also about us helping each other, and that's what we need to do for each other. So thank you for everything you do, and I would tell you at the Department of Transportation, we are very lucky to have a president and a secretary that are very committed to encouraging young women and others to join the next generation of transportation professionals. And so we are very focused on STEM education, on supporting women-owned small businesses, on helping young women secure internships and find mentors in the transportation field. All of those things really help. And our efforts at DOT to build on this work really started with a great Department of Transportation leader, the man I'm about to introduce, former Transportation Secretary and the chair of today's event, the Honorable Norm Mineta. We could not have had stronger, more committed leadership for the future of transportation than Secretary Mineta. Mr. Secretary?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Please. Thank you very, very much. I've been very, very fortunate over the years of having been interested in transportation. When I first started at the University of California, Berkeley, I wanted to really be an aeronautical engineer. That is until I took calculus. And then I decided for the safety of the country and my own future, I better find something else to do. But I never lost my interest about transportation. In the military, I was in the Transportation Corps. When I became a mayor, transportation was such a vital issue to our economic growth in Silicon Valley. And in those days, I had great prompting from a great civil servant by the name of Jerry Primo. And Jerry's right here in front, and I've just really cherished his lifetime friendship and counsel. And as I look around the room, I see so many people with whom I've worked over the years. And you know, our fraternity and sorority in the transportation field is not only relatively small, but also tight-knit. And so we see each other over the years in different capacities. And so this year, when Julie asked if I would consider being honorary chair for this event, I jumped at it immediately because of all the great work that you do across the country. Transportation still is not recognized for what it means in our economy. Everything we eat, everything we wear, everything any one of us does day in and day out has been dependent somewhere on wheels. And yet, so whether it's economic development or foreign trade, whatever it is, transportation is at the base of it. And all of you have been working at trying to strengthen our economy, strengthen our infrastructure, for which I thank you very, very much. But our job is to continue to try to get that message across to other people as we try to now face reauthorization of our surface transportation legislation, aviation, water development reauthorization. And so it's something that we have to constantly work at to remind people how important transportation is. So again, I would like to thank Julie for her leadership here at Comto, to all those on the board of directors, and all of you as state representatives who have been working to further the goals of transportation as a whole, but more importantly, the work of Comto. So again, thank you very much to all of you for taking time from your own very busy schedules to be here in Washington, D.C. for this conference. Thanks a million.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And now I'd like to introduce, actually she needs no introduction, but I'll do it anyway, the chair of Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation, Greer Gillis. Greer is currently the area manager for the Washington, D.C. office of Parsons Brinkerhoff Americas. In this role, she oversees the transportation services staff and managing various infrastructures, planning and design projects, as well as leading client relations management, business development, and financial oversight for activities in the Washington metropolitan D.C. area. So if you would, put your hands together and let's welcome Greer Gillis.
Thank you, Doris. Good morning, Comto. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to our second annual Celebrating Women Who've Moved the Nation. We are so excited to have all of you here again, and for many of you for the second time. We're excited to honor these phenomenal women that we have before us, these 10 women who are advancing the nation's transportation industry by all that they do. We celebrate these women for their contributions to our nation's transportation system. As Deputy Secretary Percari mentioned earlier, we are celebrating Women's History Month this month. So it's quite fitting that we recognize, that we honor the accomplishments of these phenomenal women. The women honored here today, they symbolize progress at its best, from advocating for policies that benefit our cities and our states, to ensuring that we in the transportation industry are as diverse as the society that we represent. Without these women here, many of us would not be in this audience today. We are extremely proud and are in awe of all that they have done. The awards committee searched high and low to find women who exemplified the Comto spirit by their strength, by their character, by their accomplishments, by their presence. And wouldn't you agree that this year's selections of nominees, honorees, are definitely Comto women? I would like to take a moment to acknowledge our sponsors for this event. First of all, our silver sponsors, AECOM. Thank you very much. And then our friends of Comto, in alphabetical order, ASHTO, APTA, thank you, Cubic, Federal Express, Holland and Knight, the Minetta Transportation Institute, Parsons Brinkerhoff, the Philadelphia International Airport, and United Airlines. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Comto.
Good morning.
Am I on? Okay. Honored to be here today, and it's to celebrate what you do, to celebrate Women's History Month. And I have a special tribute for our ladies. She's a girl, she's on fire. Has a fantasy, on the highway. She's living in a world that's on fire. Filled with catastrophe, but she knows how to fly away. Oh, she got her feet on the ground, and she's burning it down. Whoa.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Rashida Jolly, on fire in the morning. Rashida is a renowned singer, harpist, songwriter, and a unique and truly gifted artist. She got your gift, I could see for that table. In fact, she spent the past year on tour with international megastar Lady Gaga, and she's been performing in major arenas across the world, gaining a huge fan base. Does she have a new fan base here today? All right. And Rashida's really taking the music industry by storm. She's got an innovative sound, a soulful voice, and crowds love her. Can I get an amen? All right, let's give her one more hand. Thank you, Rashida. All right, it is now time to present our first award, and Colonel Jim Page is going to introduce Congresswoman Corinne Brown, who will present the Lifetime Achievement Award. Jim Page is President, CEO of PTG Consulting Group. He's also the co-founder and executive director of the Pioneer Student Leadership Academy. It's a nonprofit leadership training and long-term mentoring program for underserved, underrepresented, and at-risk students, college students. Jim served as the national coordinator for the post-911 TSA Airport Federalization Project Advanced Team, which developed new airport security screening procedures and then implemented them nationwide. As well, he served as senior advisor to the U.S. Army National Museum project manager, coordinating issues with military veterans to include Sioux Code Talkers and Tuskegee Airmen. He serves as Comto's senior advisor and co-authored their strategic plan. He leads their workforce development and succession planning efforts. He also serves as the project leader for the Careers in Transition for Youth City Internship Program. It's a partnership with FTA, and it was developed to develop the next generation of industry leaders. Jim is a retired colonel of the U.S. Army, so let's give the colonel a hand.
Good morning. I know everybody has a job and could be someplace else this morning. So each time I speak to folk early in the morning, I say to you, thank you for taking time out to be with us. I really appreciate it. Let me get right to the business. My notes said good morning, I just said that. Now I should say, welcome to this wonderful event. I've done that. On a more serious note, it's my pleasure to stand before you and introduce you to Congresswoman Corinne Brown. Super lady, well respected on both sides of the aisle. She's tough, very tough, tenacious, and dedicated public servant. Her real bio is in your book. I won't take time to take that away from you. But she's in her 11th year on Capitol Hill doing good, 11th term on Capitol Hill doing good things. I consider her to be a friend, so I step away and take this introduction personally. A few years back, a friend of ours, another Army colonel, were in a restaurant in Crystal City enjoying ourselves, and Congresswoman Brown and another colleague, I think it was Etta Bernice Johnson, were sitting across. We were talking about the Army Museum, and she stood up and she walked over and said, okay guys, I got a problem. We have soldiers in Iraq who are wearing bad flak jackets and they need to be fixed. You guys need to get up and tell somebody about it and get it fixed. We got up, we told somebody about it, and we got it fixed. So that is who Corinne Brown is. I got 2 more notes and I'll sit down. Right now I'm supposed to say her reputation is strong, but her voice is even stronger. Even when her party is not in power, her voice is powerful. She's a strong, strong supporter of transportation. But more importantly, her heart lies with veterans and their families. Every day she's doing something for some veteran, some family member, and I've seen it personally. Marine Corps, Army, Air Force, it doesn't matter. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman, a strong mother, a valued citizen to our nation. So it's with pride and a little bit of emotion that I take time to introduce you, my good friend, Corinne Brown.
God is good all the time, and all the time God is good, and God bless America. And you can't believe a thing that Colonel Page said, because he is my friend. And Secretary Manetta, I want you to know everything I know I learned from him. He was my top chairman when he was in the House of Representatives. When is Comto coming to Jacksonville, Florida? July. I expect everybody in the room to be there. Now, we're going to have a wonderful time in Jacksonville. It's going to be very educational, but no, it will be the best Comto conference ever. Jacksonville, Florida in July. Give that a hand. Now, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. But listen, I'm in the United States Congress, and they always give us 1 minute. So I'm going to take my 1 minute first. You know, I've served in the United States Congress for 20 years, and it has really been an honor to serve. But these past couple of years have been really interesting because transportation is the engine that put people to work. And let me tell you, we have a debt problem, but it's long term. The problem as we speak is jobs, jobs, jobs. And you must invest in infrastructure. And if there is one thing I want you to leave here today and go back and tell your Congress people and senators, the word WERDA. We haven't had a WERDA bill in 7 years. That's the bill that put Army Corps and millions and billions of dollars putting people to work. So I need your help. We need to stop this foolishness that's going on in Washington. Every 3 months, we're on the edge. Man-made disasters. We need to move forward. The election is over. When does the election end and service begin? Now, it is my honor to introduce a person, and the lady just said, the girl is on fire. She was talking about my colleague. So let me introduce her. And let's give her a big round of applause for the Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Let's give her a big hand. And let's give her a big hand. I have all kinds of nice things I want to say about her, but I'm going to let her talk to you because she has been on fire and a star since she arrived in the United States Congress. So let's give her a hand to say what she would like to say. Thank you. You want that to stay there?
I think it's good.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Corinne. I have to start by saying how touched I am that you introduced me, because were it not for her absolutely tireless effort for the last 20 years working on behalf of veterans and holding the Department of Veterans Affairs to task and making sure that they meet their obligations, I would not have received the care that I've received or the benefits or the services that I need to recover from my wounds so that I could stand next to her and be her colleague today. Thank you, Comto, for providing me with this honor. There's so many inspiring women here today, and thank God there was not a talent competition, because I could, after that national anthem and Rashida, there's no way I could have competed. I can't even twirl a baton, so. I also want to acknowledge the honorary chair of this event, Secretary Mineta. He has been a leader on commerce and transportation issues. As Corinne said, it's time to get to work, and he is someone who's been working under both Democratic and Republican administrations, and we should look to his example of how we can work together to improve the lives of the American people. And in fact, I do look to his example in one very important way, and John Carter, you mentioned this, talking about mentorship. None of us got here without our mentors, and you never know where you're going to find those mentors. In fact, as a young lieutenant, one of my mentors was a very grumpy Vietnam veteran NCO who swore a lot, chain smoked, and liked to go out to strip clubs at night. What can I say? But he also kept me from hurting myself a lot, in that I would get up and make a decision as a young lieutenant, and this NCO often would take me behind the aircraft hangar. I mean, he would salute me in front of the hangar, yes ma'am, and then afterwards he'd take me behind the hangar and go, what the heck do you think you're doing? And that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and here's why. And so we would then together work out what the smarter solution was. We would walk out back in front of the hangar. I would issue my new much improved orders. And everybody's like, oh wow, that is really good. And he never said a word, would salute me and carry them out. You never know where your mentors are. Sometimes there are people above you, and sometimes there are people that you outrank. And I also have Secretary Mineta to thank for one of my current mentors, Congressman Mike Honda, who he mentored and got to run for office, taking his seat after he left the House. And Mike Honda has really been a leader for me, both in terms of, my first days in Congress, not sure what to do, to supporting me all the way back to 2006 and helping me to campaign, a dear, dear friend. This is a time of great change in Washington. Women and minorities are entering politics in greater numbers than ever before. I'm so thankful that I'm here and for all of those who made the sacrifices possible. But it is also in government, whether at the municipal level or the federal level or the state level, that women are really reaching the heights of leadership in a way that they're not reaching in the civilian population. And in fact, you have more women in executive positions in government than you do in our Fortune 500 companies. And that is because this is one of those places, like the military, where you do get equal pay for equal work. Unlike in the civilian world, where women still only make 77 cents on the dollar. And so as leaders in government, and in whether it is federal, municipal, or state, it is important for female leaders to look out and mentor others. And don't mentor just other women, mentor the young men as well. You know, in the military, I was often the only woman in an all-male unit. And it was male mentors who helped me on my path. I did not have women to look up to, but there were amazing, enlightened men who took me under their wing, who pushed me along and got me to where I am today. And so I always think about all the wonderful peoples on whose shoulders we stand as we acknowledge and we get these wonderful awards, because they're not just for you, but they're for everyone. As Kareem mentioned, Washington is just paralyzed by partisanship, and because of the cuts that have gone into place, transportation industry will be deeply hurt. I represent the 8th Congressional District of Illinois. If you move people or goods into the city of Chicago from the west, you come through my district, on roads, on tollways, on rail, even through the airport. I actually have the western part of O'Hare in my district. I don't have any of the revenue generating parts of O'Hare, like the gift shops and the Auntie Anne pretzels. That's in my Quigley's district. I've got the parts that need to be fixed: the runway, the taxiway, the fence. That's in my district. The watershed, areas, that's in my district. But if you move goods or people into the city, you come through my district. And then all of the things that the city of Chicago and the surrounding areas produces that gets sold, that goes out to the rest of the country, to the west, or around the world, comes through my district. Transportation is the lifeblood for my neighbors, for my businesses, for my constituents. And we cannot get there unless we invest more in transportation infrastructure. I have bridges that are 100 years old that we have the current commuter rail system traveling across. Underneath our roads, I have sewer systems and water pipes that are 75 years old, that when they break, we actually have to tear up the roads to get to them. I have rail cars that are being slowed down because our tracks are not up to standards. The trains are capable of going faster, but the tracks are not capable of handling them. I have rail and road intersections where it used to be rural areas, but now that because the suburbs have grown up so much, they have now become dangerous intersections, and commuters are being slowed down by rail traffic. Not that we don't want the rail traffic, but simply we have to upgrade the tracks in the system so that both can coexist simultaneously, and because both are good for the economy and both are good for the bottom line, jobs, jobs, jobs. So thank you for letting me be here. I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you for investing in women and investing in transportation, because it is the lifeblood of our country. There are many, many ways to serve this nation. Some of us have served in uniform. Some of us are privileged to serve in Congress, but I think that there is no greater form of public service than to be a public servant. To be a servant to the American people, to represent them, to serve them every day. And on those days when you are tired and you don't want to get to work, and or your kids are sick, or you just want to stay home. Like yesterday morning when it was raining, it was kind of cold, I wanted to stay home and read a book on my couch. But you get up and you go to work anyway. And you go because you're needed. This nation needs you. This nation needs your service. So for doing that every single day, thank you for your service. I ask that you keep our troops who are in harm's way today in your prayers tonight. There are thousands of them around the world right now. Also, please keep our troops who are at Walter Reed and the various military and veterans hospitals in your thoughts and prayers as they recover from their wounds. And always, always, God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. And now I'd like to introduce you to the person who's going to introduce our keynote speaker. She is a senior policy professional and strategist with more than 16 years of public policy and political experience. Shauna Frances Whatley has cultivated strong relationships on the federal, state, and local levels of government. Prior to joining Holland and Knight, Ms. Whatley was the founder and president of the Francis Group LLC, which specialized in government relations, consulting, and advocacy on transportation issues. Now, over the course of her career, Ms. Whatley has helped to shepherd millions of dollars to transportation projects across the country. She also has a special connection to our keynote speaker, Ms. Whatley.
Good morning, Comto. It's an honor to be before you today. As she just stated, I do have a special connection to our keynote speaker. He happens to be my husband, as well as my pastor and the father of our incredible daughter, 2-year-old daughter, Alexandra Elizabeth. I won't go through his entire bio, but I'd like to just provide you with a few highlights. The Reverend Matthew Lawrence Whatley serves as the executive minister of Reed Temple AME Church. A gifted preacher, lecturer, and author, he is nationally and globally recognized as an innovative thinker. He has recently received one of the top 20 preachers under 40 to watch by the African American Pulpit, a quarterly journal that serves as a repository for the very best of African American preaching. He also received Impact Person of the Year Award in 2009. An accomplished writer, Reverend Whatley joined forces with my father-in-law, Reverend Dr. William D. Whatley, to co-author Poems of a Son, Prayers of a Father. Reverend Whatley holds a BA in Political Science and Masters of Divinity from Howard University in Washington, D.C. He also has an Executive Master's in Leadership from Georgetown University McDonough School of Business and is currently pursuing an Executive Doctorate in Leadership from the George Washington University. Most importantly, for our purposes here today, I would like to say he is a man of integrity, a man of character, and he loves all of God's people. He submits that the challenge of servant leadership is not to win acclaim or to amass honor, but to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. Without further ado, the Reverend Matthew Lawrence Whatley.
never happened before. Had my wife introduce me, it's just weird. This is great. I love Comto. Y'all have church every time I come. They've had praise and worship already, had plenty of singing, great sermons. Only thing left to do is lift an offering. So ushers are coming now, and he was tremendously qualified to do that. To Congresswoman Brown and to Congresswoman Duckworth, to Secretary Mineta, and to Brother Prince, to all of the dais guests, most importantly, to these wonderful women who grace us with their presence today and who have incrementally and exponentially improved the quality of all of our existences by the length and breadth of their service. To each and every one of you, how you doing? Holla at your boy. What's up? I'm glad to be here, and you should know that I think this was a great moment for me personally. I was sort of getting a kick out of listening to my wife introduce me, because generally when I'm sitting where you are, I don't look at the introductionist, I look at the keynote speaker, because it's always sort of an awkward moment, you know, where they're sitting there trying to figure out how to look when someone's talking about you, right? So you have several kind of, introductionists. You have the person who is the professional reader, and they just, go through what's written there. And of course, the keynote's job is to then look humble while making sure that they get all of these naked, self-congratulatory things that they've written outright. You have the introductionist who is the serial inflator. They have the gift of hyperbole. And by the time they get through introducing the keynoter, the congregation or the audience is sitting there going, okay, unless this person walks on water, this is going to be a dud. Then you have, and this is why I was so nervous, you have the one that can be too familiar. It is clear that the introductionist and the keynote speaker go back a long way. And the keynoter is sitting there praying earnestly, all right, don't tell it all. If by chance you happen to be familiar with the keynote speaker, I thought I would provide you with a brief taxonomy of words that should not appear in your introduction. Words such as underwear, misappropriation, breathalyzer, rehab, Vegas, and bail. Interestingly, most of that can happen all on the same night. Then, of course, there is the introductionist that gets it just right. They provide enough professional information to let you know that the individual is qualified. They provide enough personal information to let you know that they're a real person, as the Colonel did, as my wife did. And baby, I just got to say, you still got perfect pitch. All right. As you may have noticed, I'm a black preacher, and so I stand between you and the rest of your day. Hey there. Yeah. I'm self-aware. Pray for yourselves. Anyhow, I was sitting at my desk a couple years ago, and all of a sudden, a wave of anxiety washed over me. And instantly, immediately, almost instinctively, without thinking, I grabbed my keys, left the desk, jumped in the car, and started making my way home just as quickly as I could. Brief explanation, Brother Woods, probably here should be important. Several years earlier, my wife and I had decided, my wife decided that we were going to get a dog. And so we installed this contraption at our residence called the invisible fence. Don't know if you're familiar, but basically it's this wire that they run around the perimeter of your property. They bury it in the ground, and then they affix a special collar onto the neck of the dog. And when the dog gets too near the wire, there is an arresting signal sent to inform him or her that they should back up because they're going beyond their required space. And as I was sitting at my desk that day, it just hit me that morning after I had taken our dog Huck out for a walk. Huck, not from Scandal, but from the West Wing. Huck out for a walk. I failed to reattach his collar when I let him out before I went to work. And so dog lovers will, of course, appreciate my sense of anxiety, as now I have this vision of my dog, leaving the territory and trying to cross one of the multi-lane streets that line the perimeter of our community. And so several angst-filled minutes I'm driving just as fast as law allowed to get back home, and finally I arrive at our address and make my way up the medium or the slight incline of our property. And as I arrived at the top of the driveway, I saw my main man Huck sitting right there, as is his custom dog, tail wagging and ready to receive his master. Y'all, I was so excited. I let him jump up on me even though I was wearing a good suit. And it was a wonderful moment. I was so excited, in fact, that I failed to ask the obvious question, which was, what is the dog still doing here? I just told you, I forgot to put on his collar. He was not restricted. And it was at that moment that I remembered what the person who installed the invisible fence had shared with me about how it works. He said, actually, this is not designed to be a physical barrier as much as it's designed to be a training and conditioning tool. The concept is that as the dog seeks freedom, the more he or she is shot, the more they are given the understanding that this is simply too far, that they are not to cross this boundary, that they are supposed to stay in their place. And as a consequence, even though there was no physical restriction, he had been so conditioned that he was unable to move forward and experience the freedom that was available to him. I would suggest that there is no leader that is able to move forward without having to break the boundary for those who have tried to instill in him or her that they are going beyond their place. That at some point, a leader has to prove herself undaunted, unrelenting, and untrainable. That she or he will not allow any shock, any system, any inaccurate performance evaluation, any lack of promotion, any spurious reorganization, any wrongful termination, any personal assault or attack to keep them from moving forward toward the freedom that is theirs. That's why we're here this morning. We come to honor untrainable women. And I know that for some still is controversial talk. I know it because recently there's a book that came out by Sheryl Sandberg, who runs a little company, not sure if you're familiar with it, it's called Facebook. She's the COO, and she wrote a book recently called Lean In, Women, Work, and the Will to Lead. And she said something which many people have taken issue with. She said, it's still a man's world. That there still is an unlevel playing field. We just heard the Congresswoman mention that still 77%, only 70 cents of a dollar is made for women for men doing the same job. We also know that something around 16% of women occupy boards, although more than 51% of women graduate from college. And only less than 6% are actually CEOs. What does this say? It says that we continue to strive to meet and to overcome the double standard that persists. Here's what Sandberg says. Women, and this is from an article in the Harvard Business Review, women are perceived as too soft or too tough, but never just right, and as competent or likable, but rarely both. Either way, the research concludes women are evaluated against a masculine standard of leadership that leaves them limited options and distracts attention from the task at hand. There's another quote in this article that comes from one of Secretary Clinton's assistants, who noted that oftentimes they became frustrated because the press, rather than picking up on what she said, would focus on what she was wearing when she said it. At the end of the day, we stand here today to acknowledge that these women have been able to accomplish what they have for the singular ability of them to overcome invisible fences and real odds that have been stacked against them. And as Sister Shauna indicated, I've in this doctoral program, so I got to learn all this stuff. So y'all gonna hear some of it now because what I learned in the program is that there's this theory called trait theory, which would suggest that leaders are just born that way. They have this innate ability to command attention and to command respect and to be able to bring change and cast vision. But the challenge with trait theory is that it suggests that the way you are born is the way you'll always have to be. The suggestion, therefore, is that if you're born a certain gender, if you're born a certain ethnicity, that based on societal norms, you are slotted into a position. I'm glad we've moved beyond those kind of parochial theories, and we've now embraced new concepts for how to change. And I'm always trying to figure out and learn and be a lifelong learner. And so about a year ago, I took some of my staff members out to this church in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, called Life Church. It's an amazing place. You ever get out there after you see the thunder, go out, check out this church. Did I say that? That's because that's what I meant. It's an amazing church. They have over 45,000 persons that worship there every weekend amongst their 15 campuses. One of the 15 campuses is an online campus, and it actually has more than 200,000 persons that tune in every week for worship. It's an amazing thing. And so I took my staff out to see if we could benchmark and glean some best practices for how we could do our ministry better. So we're out there, and we're talking with their staff, and I brought some of my technical people out there, so now they're talking with their technical people. And this was about the time where I began to exercise my OJ's theology. Y'all remember the OJ's, right? Your body's here, but your mind's on the other side of town. Look it up on Google. Yeah, so since I'm not a technical person, I sort of, tapped out. You know how you look like you're paying attention, but you're really far away. I see some of you all have lettered in this. PhDs in this. Yeah, so, I'm really not trying to pay attention to the conversation because it doesn't really concern me, but there were some things that still sort of seeped in. They were talking about the cameras that they use for the broadcast. And they said, listen, we've made a policy that whenever we get a new camera, even though we spend a lot of money on it, we always get a better lens. We always upgrade the lens because we understand that a camera is only as good as the lens through which it looks. And so we always change the lens so that we can provide the best picture for our audience. For the time that is remaining, it won't be long. Black preachers, so take that with a grain of salt. For the time that's remaining, I just want to challenge us to sort of change our lens. And here's why. This is a wonderful breakfast, but in a little bit, it's going to be over. And you and I are going to return back to life, back to reality, back to the here and now and then, Soul to Soul 1990. So what's significant about that is that there's a world waiting for us on the other side of these doors. We go back to the same deadlines. We go back to the same organizational culture and the same dynamics. We go back to deal with the same individuals and issues. And for some of us, they didn't even wait for us to finish breakfast. But through your BlackBerry and your Android, you've been getting text messages and emails all through the breakfast to try to tell you the world is on fire and only you can put it out. And so I wanted to try to give us a different lens to look at old issues in a new way. The first thing I want to suggest, watch this, is that as leaders, we must recognize that what makes us leaders, that our job is not to maintain, but to change.
That's right. Yeah.
Managers maintain, and that's important. But what defines a leader is that they are a change agent. They're designed to move the dial. This is significant because generally when we start talking about organizational change, we fail to recognize that most vision and most change doesn't work. Actually, the research says, listen, that less than 13% of attempted organizational change ever happens. Now, the reason that's significant is because most of us are frustrated leaders because we've tried to move the dial. We've tried to get people to actually move beyond their known narrow self-interest. We've tried to get persons to remember that they don't serve themselves, but there is a constituency that is dependent on them making proper and just and right decisions. We spend an inordinate amount of time and energy trying to challenge those that serve under us to look beyond the tradition of what way we've always done it, to consider what ways things actually should be done. And the challenge is we often bring change, not recognizing that it's sort of like when you transplant an organ. You know, you do an organ transplant so that the person might operate more efficiently, that they might have greater capacity, or that they might even be able to continue to live. And generally, change is met with organ rejection. That because people are not yet ready for it, they simply push away. You know why? Here's the big thought. Because change, for most people, is considered or perceived as loss. No matter how wonderful it is, no matter how innovative it is, no matter how many times it's been proven to work, most people consider change or perceive change as what it's taking away from them. And really the only thing that causes change to be accepted has nothing to do with the merit of the concept, but has everything to do with the leader who is promoting it. In other words, since change means loss, the leader must have established enough personal equity that the individuals who are designed to receive change will consider the loss as nothing compared to the gain of being with the leader. I thought it was deep. Yeah, so by law, as a preacher, I have to give you 3 points. Here they are, and I'm out of here. The first is, in order to be a real change agent, as the ladies that sit behind me, we first have to reject the concept of positional power. That John Maxwell says the whole concept of you using your position to exert power is really an idea without merit. And here's why. He says position only gives you the opportunity to show if in fact you're a leader. I like Margaret Thatcher's take on it. Margaret Thatcher says that if you have to tell someone you have power, it's like being a lady, you're not. And this is where most men kind of miss the mark. We spend an inordinate amount of time trying to prove by the size of our desk and the size of our staff and the size of our budget and the size of... Have I said too much? So as a consequence, we have then the notion that change is not about being in position. Change is about being in possession of faculties that allow you to influence others, not based on the name that's on your card. So first of all, and I'm almost done, we have to reject the idea of positional change, but then secondarily, we have to become expert in some area. There's actually a field in leadership called expert power. And the concept is simplicity itself. It simply says, when you can do what no one else can do, you will prove yourself invaluable to the organization. Can we just tell the truth for a minute? These women sit behind me not because everyone wanted them to be where they are. They are where they are because no one else could do what they can do. In fact, if I can borrow my Dr. Phil hat for a minute, can I explain to you, that's why some people don't even like you. Because if they had their druthers, you'd have been gone a long time ago. But because of your technical capacity, because of your institutional memory, because you have hung around and been through enough wars and have done enough that now do you know where all the bodies are buried, you still got the shovel, that they can't get rid of you and they got to deal with you, and all you can say is, here I am, learn to live with it. Got to reject positional power. You have to become expert in some area. And then thirdly, you have to have referent power. That's the power to influence people based on the stature of your character. Yes. Now this is significant because this requires no formal training. And this is awesome because this does not need the acceptance or the approval or the aid of any other individual. Here's the challenge with referent power, however. You can't fake it. You actually have to authentically have some values. You actually have to authentically have some integrity and some character, and may I say even some backbone. You've got to be able to say what you mean, and people have to believe that you mean what you say. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And when you begin to cultivate that kind of referent power, you know you have it because people start saying things like this. Well, if you ask them, they'll do it. I don't want to have the meeting if you can't come. Because what it says is that when you sit at the table changes. And the reason that we celebrate these women today is because they have been changing tables and changing rooms and changing organizations all of their careers. Well, my time is well spent, but I forgot to finish my dog story. Y'all remember Huck from about 12 minutes ago? So I put his collar back on, everything was cool. About 6 months later, however, I forgot to change his battery according to the schedule. And one day I came home and the worst had happened. Huck was gone. And I began to scour the neighborhood trying to find him. And after about 45 minutes of looking, I finally found him, got him in the car, brought him back to the house, changed the battery on the collar, let him back out. But this time, Huck ran away. And I called the service out, and they brought in the more powerful collar, and we put that one on, and Huck ran away. And every time we tried new practices, what we discovered was that the window for Huck staying in place had closed. Now watch this. He still bore the burden of the shock, but once he had tasted freedom, once he had seen what life outside of his place was like, he was willing to take the pain for a minute for the benefit of being free. There's no woman on this stage that has not had to deal with the pain and the burden of leadership, the loneliness of leadership, the internecine rivalry and warfare that breaks out even amongst her own sisters when she arises to great places of prominence and influence. This sense of being falsely accused, and yet she has continued to move forward because the taste of freedom is just too good. Well, we had to build a fence. It's a 5-foot iron fence in the backyard because we realized that was the only way we were going to keep Huck in his place. But I went out just the other day, and I noticed that around the edges of the fence, holes are starting to appear. Because if there's anything I've learned about a leader, if a leader can't find a way, a leader will make a way. Let's thank God for these leaders. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Watley. And now it is time to present the awards to the women who found a way. We would like to announce or present the Comto Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation Award for Advocacy. Mr. Robert Prince will be presenting the award to Ann Canby. Ms. Canby can make her remarks, and then we'll take the photograph afterwards. No. And then when you're finished, go back down there.
Okay, great. Does Comto rock?
Yeah.
First of all, this is such an honor to be recognized by this organization. And I am so grateful to the awards committee for including me in this year's group of fantastic colleagues. You know, one of the reasons why I got involved and decided to pursue a career in transportation, because when I decided that, there weren't very many of us thinking about it or even doing it. And the idea that maybe a little gender balance would be a good thing was just beginning to get on the radar screen. So I saw a little opportunity here. Well, I would say that today's honorees show that we have really come a long, long way since those days back. Jerry Primo will remember, it was a long time ago. A long time ago. However, I would suggest that we have still a long way to go to ensure that the transportation field draws the best and the brightest into our web of activity and intrigue. And certainly we have a need to improve the diversity in leadership in transportation agencies. And I think Joan McDonald will agree with me. And I looked at the AASHTO website, and Janet, you need to update it a little bit. But I think there are only 6 women running a state DOT today. That's fewer than when I was involved in that kind of endeavor. So maybe not so much progress. And minority leadership is even more rare to find in that arena. So let me offer this thought, that the recognition that we're all receiving today is less about us and more, as Reverend Watley just said, about our leadership and our responsibility to redouble our efforts to ensure that America's diversity is reflected in transportation leadership throughout all levels of government. So let's commit ourselves to make sure that Comto's vision, and if you haven't read it, look at it in your program, becomes, in fact, a reality. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Ms. Canby. Our next award is for the Comto Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation Award for Aviation. And Mr. Lester Woods will be presenting Rosemary Andolino.
Good morning. Good morning. Wow, I am truly inspired, Reverend. Thank you so much. I would be remiss if I didn't start by bringing greetings from Mayor Rahm Emanuel from the city of Chicago. Thank you. He was extremely proud as well and wanted me to make sure that I sent congratulations to all of today's recipients, but especially to our Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, our Congressman from Chicago, Illinois, Tammy Duckworth. So let's give her another round of applause. Also, I know United Airlines, Kate Gibo is here. Kate, I saw the Congressman. I took notes diligently, so we have a lot to work on the west side of the airport as well. I also want to take this time to thank Comto for recognizing the importance of our transportation industry and for the women who have made such great contributions. And I'd like to thank them for this prestigious award. I am humbled to receive it and to be in the company of so many great women here today. And of course, some of last year's recipients as well. Rhina, she's still here as well. Thank you. It's just truly an honor and a true tribute and just humbled to be here, as I said, to experience that. And a special thank you to Brad Mims, and Melissa Sabatine. Thank you so much, both of you, and to the entire committee. I truly, again, appreciate all of your efforts and for recognizing me and, again, all of these wonderful women. Today, when I was thinking about what I would discuss, I was reflecting back about what this industry was like 10 years ago when I became the executive director of an $8 billion expansion of O'Hare Airport, building new runways at one of the world's busiest airports. And that's when I first met the Honorable Norm Mineta, a true mentor and someone that provided me with the guidance to help achieve this incredible feat that sometimes many people said we would never accomplish. And I look at the industry and so much has changed. There are so many women leaders now in aviation. I have the honor and privilege to run the Chicago airport system, one of the world's busiest systems. And then we have in New York, running the Port Authority, Sue Bear. Los Angeles, Gina Marie Lindsay. We have Denver, Oakland, San Diego, Phoenix, Tucson, and that's St. Louis, and that's just to name a few. I can go on and on. So it has changed in terms of the field of aviation considerably. Our airports are economic engines for our cities and our states, and Chicago's airports continue to create jobs and bring in $45 billion of economic activity to our region, as well as 540,000 jobs. It's our economic generator. And one of the things we've worked on very, very aggressively over the past 10 years was to create a very transparent environment for contractors, suppliers, and all who wish to participate. And under Mayor Emanuel's leadership, we strive to create a diverse environment that, like Comto, reflects the diverse faces of America. So thank you again for this prestigious award, and again, congratulations to all of today's award recipients. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Andolino. The Comto Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation Award for federal government will be presented by Warren Montague, and the award goes to Therese McMillan.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the entire Comto organization and family. I'm truly honored to be here. I've been a proud public servant the entirety of my professional career, and I have to say that serving this nation as the Deputy Administrator of the Federal Transit Administration under President Obama's administration was not in my master plan, but it is a gift that I continue to be grateful for every day. I work with an amazing team at the Federal Transit Administration, led by Administrator Peter Rogoff, and I'm incredibly grateful for the support of the Department of Transportation, Secretary Ray LaHood, Deputy Secretary John Porcari. It's a privilege to work with you. The entire team. I want to thank all of my DOT friends that are here with me today, and friends from the industry. It's just been a delight serving in this position. But I'm particularly proud that our FTA leadership team includes an extraordinary number of talented women. 58% of the entire FTA organization are women, and of our senior executive staff, 60% of those positions are held by women, as are many of the most critical senior level deputy and office director positions in the agency. Yet, in our day-to-day activities, their presence is almost taken for granted, and I want to give you an example of that. In August of 2012, after 2.5 years of dedicated effort, the Federal Transit Administration published 2 groundbreaking guidance documents for the industry: a completely revised circular on Title VI, and a brand new guidance document in environmental justice. Now, I initiated and oversaw the comprehensive review of the FTA's civil rights responsibilities that laid the groundwork for these documents. But there was a cadre of individuals that worked with me to bring them to fruition. Linda Ford, Bonnie Graves, Cecilia Comito, Amber Ontiveros, and Joanne Wazak. Now, my dear friend and colleague, Dorval Carter, brought some gender diversity to this effort. But the extraordinary thing was not that this groundbreaking initiative was conceived, led, and delivered by the best women for the job. What is extraordinary is that I never cast it in those terms. I looked at it through a different lens. The effort was implemented by the best professionals for the job, period. Not an EEO objective, not a political statement. It was a fact of their excellence. And that is what we strive for: parity of talent, parity of opportunity, parity of financial and professional recognition, parity of achievement. Unfortunately, in too many instances, we're still not there as an industry or as a nation. So until then, I will accept the responsibility to be part of a team that makes a difference that through my experience, my example, and my results, I can help show fellow women colleagues, our bright young students, our own daughters, that the future is indeed ours to hold. So thank you so much for this award.
Thank you, Ms. McMillan. The Comto Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation Award for Highways will be presented by John Lewis to Ms. Gloria Jeff.
Well, everybody knows me, knows that first thing I'm going to do is say thank you, God, for this extraordinary honor. To Comto, my fellow untrainable change agents of strength, it is indeed an honor to be in the company of such extraordinary women, for indeed we are extraordinary. We are a witness to what happens when God says yes and everybody says we'll see. This recognition is particularly honorable to me because it is a recognition by my peers. It is my peers who know my work, who know my untrainability, who know my sometimes, why can't we do it differently because it needs to be done differently attitude, and who still say she is worthy of praise. I came into transportation initially as a young kid who wanted to be an astronaut. I appreciated the comment about aeronautical engineering. But I remained a part of transportation because of divine intervention. And because of that, I have been in unimagined places, in unbelievable roles, making a difference in the city I grew up in the state that I call home, in the nation that I am proud to be a citizen of, on a planet that is rich with unfulfilled potential. And transportation stands at the core. For as my colleagues in the military like to say, nothing happens until it moves. And we are all living witnesses by our career choices, by the contributions that we make every day, that nothing happens without transportation. It is indeed our unique roles and responsibilities that inspire young people to come into a profession that no one calls sexy, but everybody knows they need. It is indeed by our chosen work in life that we are able to create cities and places that are not just sustainable, but interesting, that represent the ability to have information, people, goods, and businesses be successful because we do what we do well. And as one of my friends from Michigan told me today, we do it under the radar. There is no hue and cry that the transportation system isn't working because no one wakes up in the morning expecting it not to be there. No business operates or has contingency plans on a daily basis for transportation not to be there. I chatted with my colleague from New York as we talked about all of the challenges that she's had from the standpoint of emergencies, natural and man-made disasters. And in the midst of this, she doubled the program that her state delivered in terms of routine transportation. Projects continued to go while emergencies were dealt with, while natural disasters occurred. It is an extraordinary tribute to the fact that her leadership managed to keep their eyes not just on, oh, what's the emergency, but on what needed to be accomplished. This is why this group of untrainable, strong, different lensed women are indeed the presence of the transportation industry. But in this audience, I look and I see the future. And I see young women who are being mentored by women who sit on this dais. I see young women who are filled with excitement, with skills, with the concept that there is no boundary, that their freedom is there, that because of those who went before us, those who are with us now, that unlike Hub, we don't have to wait for the taste of freedom. The freedom is there. So indeed, as I go back to my seat and say thank you for this extraordinary honor, I remind us all as practicing transportation professionals that our hearts, our minds, and our work inhabit people's lives every day. And with that joyful responsibility comes the opportunity to celebrate. And indeed, today is a day of celebration for all of us. And I thank you for this day of celebration.
Thank you, Ms. Jeff. The Comto Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation Award for Private Industry will be presented by Bob Prince, and the award goes to Gina Adams.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Members of Comto, your president and CEO, Julie Cunningham, Secretary Manetta, Deputy Secretary Kari? Poor Kari. Fellow honorees and guests, thank you for this wonderful award. Now, let me just say to Reverend and Mrs. Watley that we were having a conversation on that row back there about your sermon, your remarks. And it is highly likely that you'll see some new members in your congregation. Thank you for being so inspiring. As we celebrate the power, passion, and pride of women in transportation, I am humbled to be in the company of so many phenomenal ladies whose achievements benefit our increasingly diverse industry, our workforce, and our country. And as I learn more about each of you, I'm inspired by the goals of Comto and the ideals each of you represent. I am also proud to work for a company that offers challenging work, gives back to the communities it serves, and creates opportunities for its employees to excel, and maybe even receive a wonderful honor like this. Congratulations to the honorees, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. The Comto Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation Award for Private Industry will be presented again by Lester Woods to Cheryl McKissick Daniel.
If you don't mind, I'm going to ask my twin sister to come up here and accept her award at the same time. We were born together. I will introduce her. This is Daryl McKissick, president of McKissick & McKissick of DC. And I am so honored to be here today with all the honorees, but especially my twin sister. When we were growing up, she was the glamorous one. She always wanted her hair done. She always had the best clothes. And I was a tomboy. And so I would always try and figure out, why do the guys like her and not me? And so I figured it out by the time we were like 13, and I started borrowing her clothes. But never did I think that the lady standing next to me, The shoes I used to scuff up, mess up. The jewelry I used to lose when I was running marathons would be the woman who would design the Martin Luther King Memorial. I have to say, that was so nice, Cheryl. She is my big sister by all of 4 minutes. But I was always treated like the baby. You claimed it. Right, I claimed it. And actually, I'm older because I went in first. She came out first. Now you see why we don't have prepared speeches. We were fighting last night. Right on who was going to introduce our mom today. Mom, could you please stand? Our wonderful mom, who is 82 years old, came to visit us today. And what we represent is the nation's oldest minority-owned construction and architectural firm in the country. It dates back, we were incorporated in 1905, but the first descendant of our family came here and was taught the trade of making bricks in 1790. And to add to that, we've been doing vertical construction as well as horizontal. And Reverend Watley, I have to say, transportation has had a lot of barriers that we've had to go through a lot of shock waves to get through. And mainly because if we combine our two companies, we're around 300 people. So we're in that spot where we're too big to do a lot of DBE and MBE programs, but yet we're competing against companies that have 50,000 employees. So I just really want to thank the clients that have supported us, they've trusted us, they've allowed us to run their jobs for a long time, and it just so happens that one of my favorite clients is here today, Rosie Angelino, and I can't thank her for the support that she's given us. For 8 long years we've been working for Rosie. And Gina Marie Lindsay, who's not here. And we also would like to thank our wonderful staff. Yes. They're the ones who make us look so good. They're over there at the table with our mother. Thank you so very much. I'd like to, I don't know, we keep grabbing the mic. I think I'd like to end on something Maya Angelou said, and that is, people may not remember what you say, they may not remember what you do, but you'll always remember how you made them feel. And I just want to say to Comto, we feel the love. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. The Comto Celebrating Women Who Move the Nation Award for State Government will be presented by John Lewis to Joan McDonald.
Wow, these are some tough acts to follow. What can I say? First and foremost, thank you to Comto, the organization, Secretary Mineta for being here and being a great leader in our field, Deputy Secretary John Procari being not only a good leader, but a good friend to all of us here, and to the women I share the dais with, and also the women that are in the room. I would gladly walk through fire with any of you at any point in time. I want to pick up on one of the points that was made, I think, both by Reverend Watley and also by the Congresswoman, that to be successful in a field, you have to pick an expertise. And I was an English major. I didn't know anything from transportation. But one of my early mentors told me that I had to really pick a field. And when I was going through some career changes and made a decision that I was going to go to the Kennedy School of Government, and I'm joined by one of my classmates from the EPA, Betsy Shaw, I decided transportation. And I didn't decide on transportation because I thought there needed to be more women. I picked transportation because it was tangible. And I greatly admire some of my colleagues on the dais and here in the room that are civil engineers, structural engineers, architects, for having the patience to do the math. I did not have that patience. Like I said, I was an English major. But I loved the tangible nature of transportation, and I think what all of us embody here today is it's not about the roads, it's not about the bridges, it's not about the freight, it's about the people. And transportation connects people. Whether you operate a commuter railroad, a subway system, you build those bridges, or you just create a more pedestrian-friendly environment in the cities in which we all live. So it is a great field to be in. When I speak to groups of young women, I say, even if you are an English major, you can enter this field. And I'm struck when we talk about the diversity of our workplaces. Earlier this week, Federal Highway and Warren Whitlock was up in Albany where we were kicking off our Title VI review of all of our programs. And one of the things that I said to Warren was, once we change the face of our organizations, and Ann and I were talking about it earlier today, once we change the face of our organization, be it gender, be it color, be it creed, then the issues that surround Title VI, the issues that surround DBEs, they will fade into the background, and every single person will have an opportunity. And being leaders in transportation, that's not only our honor, it's our responsibility to make sure that we continue to do that and fight that fight and continue to be untrainable as we move the ball forward. It is a great honor. I am so humbled to be here with so many great, energetic, untrainable women. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. Our final award is the Shirley DeLibero Annual Woman Who Moves the Nation Award. You know, every once in a while there is a trailblazer that comes along and changes the course of history. And Miss Shirley DeLibero is one such trailblazer. Her tenacious spirit, her pure talent for overseeing the construction and management of rail systems has moved the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials to institute the Shirley DeLibero Woman Who Moves the Nation Award. This award is presented annually as a long-standing tribute to the Queen, and Ms. DeLibero will now present the award.
Thank you. It is with great pleasure and admiration and honor that I get to present the Shirley A. DeLibero Award to a friend and a peer of many years, Helen Dale. Helen has been a true advocate for small business and community issues for many years. She has served as manager for public relations for the MTA in Baltimore and also as Maryland's Department of Transportation Assistant Secretary for Community Affairs, where she was responsible for implementing MDOT at the mall, which set up exhibits for viewing multimodal transportation displays to help the constituents better understand the value of transportation. In 2010, Helen rejoined the MTA as Strategic Staffing Coordinator in the Office of Human Resources and Workforce Development. Helen served 8 terms as the president of the Maryland Comto chapter, and in 2010, Congressman Cummings appointed her to the Maryland Electoral College. She and her husband, Dr. Grady Dale, who's here, great to see you, Dr. Grady, founded the American Institute for Urban Psychological Studies. She also founded Maryland Women for Responsive Government. And if all that isn't enough, I also learned that Helen developed MDOT days at Sandown Habitat for Humanity, where she involved many of the high-ranking politicians, such as Secretary Bokhari and past Secretary Swain Stately, and other executives to rebuild the infrastructure for homes in a formerly blighted Baltimore neighborhood. And so you see what a wonderful human being Helen is, and how she's always done remarkable things to help so many people. And she, she and I go back many, many years, and she's helped me in my career, though she doesn't know it. And you know how when I first started out, and once I got a little, first a supervisor, then a manager, then became the director of bus, and at WMATA, I thought I was big shot. Helen reminded me that I had a way to go and cool it. So thank you for teaching me humility. So you see, she's done such wonderful things, so it gives me great pleasure to present the Shirley A. DeLivro Award to a great woman who I admire and respect, Helen Dale.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Good morning. And I hope that you have a little more energy, because I think they may have saved the best for last. I want to thank Comto for honoring some of the amazing, brilliant, and courageous women who are making a difference in transportation today, and I'm glad and proud to be included. Okay, let's get clear. I fervently believe that it is a woman's world, and anything men can do, women can do better. They can do it faster, smarter, with style, and great results. I admire, respect, and glorify in our enduring woman power, from Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks and Julie Cunningham and you. Hooray for women. We are the leaders we have been looking for. On the other hand, I must, however, acknowledge and thank very much 7 good men, in addition to my handsome husband Grady Dale over there, who helped me journey through this man's world of transportation. I call them the Magnificent 7, and that's exactly what they are, magnificent. First, there was Ron Hartman, who recruited me from the Department of Aging in 1990. And second, there was Gordon Linton, who I met in San Diego on a bus for APTA, who invited me to come to a Comto party. And I fell in love with Comto and with Gordon back in 1993. Third, there was Ron Freeland, my quietly consistent, insistent rescuer, and I have needed rescuing frequently. Fourth, there was Andrew Bonds, Parsons emergency NAFTA person who, when we agreed to host the NAFTA Wives, we didn't have any money, and Andrew made the money available so we could save face for our department and for Secretary, what was the secretary?
Glenn Denning.
No, it was the DOT. Anyway, he worked for Gordon Linton. And fifth, there was Brad Mims. Yes, that's the thing. I had it, I should have written it. Fifth, there's Brad Mims, the MDTA board member and Comto board member who graciously nominated me. And sixth, there's the Honorable Elijah Cummings. my courageous congressman, my mentor, advocate, and friend, who named me as an elector for the President of the United States. My name's gone down in the history archives. And finally, the seventh of the magnificent seven is Mr. John Pocari, our current acting and future DOT Secretary. Now, we can make it happen. We can make him our DOT Secretary. Now, after 8 interesting, rewarding, and inspiring years working for him as Maryland Department of Transportation Secretary, I can honestly say from my heart that Mr. Pocari is a leader of great professional insight, profound moral authority, integrity, a good sense of humor, and the kindest, most decent boss I have ever had in my life, with the exception, of course, of Harold Bartlett and Marjorie Nesbitt, who are here. I want to say thank you, Magnificent Seven, for opening up path and paving the way for today's pioneer women who are setting the pace for your wives, your sisters, and your daughters to become tomorrow's Tammy Duckworth, Margaret Harper, Ann Farrell, Beverly Saints Daly, Beverly Hill, Gloria Jeff, Beverly Scott, or to follow in the footsteps of one of you here today. I also want to acknowledge the presence and support of another magnificent leader, a longtime friend of Comto, and my handsome boss, Mr. Harold Bartlett, the Executive Secretary of the Maryland Transportation Authority. I appreciate you very much. Now, as women leaders, we believe that love is a verb. It's something you do. Therefore, because Grady and I love Comto and the opportunity it promises for women of tomorrow, we are pleased to present. Where is it? Did I leave it up there? Okay. Thank you. We are pleased to present to Comto. Please, Miss Shirley, where is Miss Julie?
Julie, right there.
We are pleased to present.
Say money to Julie, she runs.
To the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, this check for $777.77 for the future underwriting for women who will be having the scholarship fund from you. And while you're up here, while you're up here, thank you. I want to present to Miss Julie.
Oh, thank you.
The roses for your work.
Thank you.
To Miss Shirley, the roses for your work. There is a woman outside who is working. You know, you have beauty contests. You have, as Mr. Pocari used to say, you have workhorses and you have show horses. Well, I'm not calling any of my ladies horses, but there is a woman out there named Kristen Crowder that I have worried to death, and I have news for her. And because I am the recipient, the proud recipient of the Shirley DeLibero Award, and I appreciate what it stands for, I am proud to present to Ms. DeLibero this plaque, which shows one hand lifting another, and it reads, it takes a village, they say, to raise a child, and it takes an army sometimes just to give a 2-minute talk. It says, to Shirley DeLibero Comto, your lifetime of breaking concrete ceilings provides a helping hand for women in transportation. In appreciation, Helen Dale, recipient March 13, 2013. Our I appreciate your indulgence. My 2 minutes are up, and I'll sit down now.
Is that not something? She's the award recipient and she's awarding everybody else. We need to take a page out of her book. Thank you, Ms. Dale, and congratulations. And as we wrap up our program for the morning, I would like to invite Mr. Bob Prince back to the podium to provide closing remarks. And my book. Okay.
Let me get your book.
Thank you.
Now, if you think I'm going to try and follow that, you're kidding. But, you know, it's amazing. There's so many things I can take from this breakfast. Every year I keep saying, you know, how are we going to do it better? And will you agree with me? We did it better. So I'd like to thank Reverend Wiley. I got a new lens now, so I'm good. Because as my colleague Freddie Fuller would say, usually when you're dealing with Bob Prince, you're dealing with brevity, so I'm going to talk a while for a minute. But we would like to thank Congresswoman Corinne Brown, Secretary Norma Netta, Deputy Secretary John Pocari, Heather Foster, our moderator Doris McMillan, and none of this would be possible without our sponsors. We want to thank them also. And also a big congratulations to all our honorees. You know, I want to give them another round of applause. You know, Comto's been a passion, and I tell you, Helen Dale, you know, touched my heart. You know, it's just amazing to see this kind of outpouring, and the fact that she gave an award to somebody who's done it for her is amazing. And to acknowledge, you know, staff. Kristen Crowd has been a remarkable employee here, trying to help us out and do this. So we give her a hand also. So on that note, you know, I want to have everybody have a blessed day, and I want to thank you for attending, and I look forward to seeing you in Jacksonville.
Yes. Thank you, Bob. Well, that concludes our program. As you all exit, I want to remind you that there is a gift for you outside the ballroom. Compliments of Walmart and Beiersdorf, the maker of Nivea products. We want to thank you all. Have a wonderfully blessed day. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next year.